Hello students. Today we will be covering an important lesson: control and coordination. Introduction. All living organisms respond and react to changes in the environment around them. The changes in the environment to which the organisms respond and react are called stimuli, such as light, heat, cold, sound, smell, touch, etc. Both plants and animals respond to stimuli, but in a different manner. Control and coordination in animals are done with the help of two main systems: nervous system, endocrine system. Now, let's talk about the nervous system. Control and coordination in organisms are provided by nervous and muscular tissues. Nervous tissue. This tissue is composed of an organized network of nerve cells or neurons specialized for conducting information via electrical impulses from one part of the body to another. Receptors. Receptors are specialized tips of some nerve cells that detect information from the environment. Receptors are located in various sense organs. Ear acts as phonoreceptor, responsible for receiving sound and helping in hearing and maintaining body balance. Eyes acts as photoreceptors, receiving light and facilitating vision. Skin acts as thermoreceptors, sensing temperature changes and facilitating the perception of heat, cold, and touch. Nose acts as olfactory receptors, responsible for the sense of smell. Tongue acts as gustatory receptors, facilitating the sense of taste. Neuron. The neuron is the structural and functional unit of the nervous system. Parts of neuron. Dendrite acquires information. Cell body receives and processes information, transmitting it as an electrical impulse. Axon transmits electrical impulses from the cell body to the dendrite of the next neuron. Synapse, the gap between the nerve ending of one neuron and the dendrite of another neuron, where electrical signals are converted into chemical signals for onward transmission. Functioning of neuron. Information from receptors is acquired at the dendritic tip of a nerve cell as a chemical reaction, creating an electrical impulse. This impulse travels from the dendrite to the cell body and then along the axon. Chemicals are released at the end of the axon due to the electrical impulse. These chemicals cross the synapse gap and initiate a similar electrical impulse in the dendrite of the next neuron. Synapses allow the transmission of impulses from neurons to other cells, such as muscle cells or glands. What are reflex action? Reflex action is a quick, sudden, and immediate response of the body to a stimulus. Examples of reflex actions include the knee-jerk reflex and withdrawing a hand upon touching a hot object. Stimulus: observable or detectable changes in the external or internal environment that trigger a reaction. Reflex arc: the pathway through which nerve impulses pass during a reflex action is called a reflex arc. Response: it is the final reaction after the reflex action. A few examples of reflex action are: when light acts as a stimulus, the pupil of the eye changes in size. Sudden jerky withdrawal of hand or leg when pricked by a pin. Coughing or sneezing because of irritants in the nasal passages. Types of responses. Voluntary responses, controlled by the forebrain. Examples include talking and writing. Involuntary responses, controlled by the midbrain and hindbrain. Examples include heartbeats, vomiting, and respiration. Reflex actions, controlled by the spinal cord. Example, withdrawal of the hand upon touching a hot object. Reflex actions are essential in situations where quick responses are required, such as touching a hot object or being pinched. In these cases, the response is generated from the spinal cord instead of the brain, reducing the time needed for action and preventing injury. Let's look at the human nervous system. The human nervous system comprises two parts: the central nervous system, CNS, and the peripheral nervous system, PNS. The CNS includes the brain and spinal cord. The PNS includes cranial nerves arising from the brain and spinal nerves arising from the spinal cord. Human brain. The brain is the main coordinating center of the body, consisting of three major parts. Forebrain contains the cerebrum. Functions include thinking, control of voluntary actions, memory storage, integration of sensory impulses, and hunger control. Midbrain controls involuntary actions such as changes in pupil size and reflex movements of the head, neck, and trunk. Hindbrain comprises the cerebellum, controls posture, balance, and precision of voluntary actions. Medulla controls involuntary actions like blood pressure and salivation. And pons regulates respiration. Protection of brain and spinal cord. The brain is protected by a fluid-filled balloon that acts as a shock absorber and is enclosed in the cranium, skull. The spinal cord is enclosed in the vertebral column, spinal column. Coordination between nervous and muscular tissue. The brain sends messages to muscles to execute voluntary actions. Communication between the central nervous system and the body is facilitated by the peripheral nervous system, which includes cranial and spinal nerves. The brain integrates various inputs and outputs, allowing us to think and act based on our thoughts. Limitations of electric communication on nervous system. Electric impulses only reach cells connected by nervous tissue. Cells require time to reset their mechanisms after generating and transmitting an electrical impulse, limiting continuous impulse transmission. Plants lack a nervous system. Chemical communication helps overcome the limitations of electric communication in the nervous system. Coordination in plants. There are two types of movements in plants: independent of growth, immediate response to the stimulus. Plants use electrical chemical means for cell-to-cell communication. Movement is achieved by changing cell shape through water uptake or loss. Example: drooping of leaves in the touch-me-not plant upon touch. Dependent on growth. Tropic movements involve directional responses to stimuli. Examples: tendrils. The part of the tendril away from an object grows more rapidly than the part near the object, causing the tendril to encircle it. Phototropism, movement toward light. Geotropism, movement in response to gravity, either toward or away. Chemotropism, growth of the pollen tube toward the ovule. Hydrotropism, movement toward water. Plant hormones. Plant hormones are chemical compounds that coordinate growth, development, and responses to the environment in plants. Main plant hormones include auxin, synthesized at the shoot tip, promotes cell elongation, and is involved in phototropism, growth toward light. Gibberellin stimulates stem growth. Cytokinins promote cell division, found in greater concentrations in fruits and seeds. Abscisic acid inhibits growth, induces wilting of leaves, acts as a stress hormone. Let's look at hormones in animals. Hormones are chemical substances that coordinate the activities and growth of living organisms. Endocrine glands secrete hormones into the bloodstream. Key endocrine glands and their hormones include: thyroid gland secretes thyroxine, which regulates metabolism. Pituitary gland, master gland, secretes growth hormones, regulating growth and development. Adrenal glands secrete adrenaline, which affects blood pressure, heart rate, and carbohydrate metabolism. Pancreas secretes insulin, which regulates blood sugar levels. Testes in males secrete testosterone associated with puberty. Ovaries in females secrete estrogen associated with puberty. Importance of iodine. Iodine is essential for the proper functioning of the thyroid gland. Iodine salt ensures an adequate supply of iodine, preventing goiter, swollen neck, caused by its deficiency. Diabetes. Diabetes is a disease characterized by increased blood sugar levels. It results from a deficiency of insulin, a hormone produced by the pancreas. Diabetes can be treated with insulin injections. Feedback mechanism. Feedback mechanisms maintain the precise secretion of hormones at the right time. For example, blood sugar levels are regulated through feedback mechanisms. Now, here's a secret on how you can study effectively with the EduRev app. You can learn with chapter notes, watch video lectures, and solve NCERT-based MCQ tests of this chapter on EduRev. And that's not all. You also get amazing courses for Class 10 and much more for your Class 10 preparation. Thank you.